America has a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means other people are selling us goods that more than we are selling them. And that's just not balanced. It's not fair. We're losing $1.2 trillion a year, of which directly and indirectly to China, that's about $1 trillion. You know, China sells goods to Vietnam. Vietnam repackages them and sells them to us. So the idea is the president wants balanced and fair trade, and tariffs are the tool to create balanced and fair trade. It's just unsustainable for $1.2 trillion to be exported to the rest of the world, meaning our money is going to the rest of the world, it's building them up, and over time, it's taken us down, and the president's here to fix it, so that's what he's trying to do with his tariffs.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. If you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Boy, oh boy, we got to go back on CNN, huh? We got to go back on CNN and set the record straight. Put our foot down, shut it down, repeat the same thing over and over and over. Why do we waste time on CNN, the fake news media? They just can't get it right. And why are they so quiet now, huh? That it didn't go the way they was talking about it. All the fear mongering, the lies, the same propaganda rhetoric. Why they all quiet now? They seen actual deals being done. You know, they don't want the man to do what he was elected to do. They're trying to block the man. We are against a great evil in this country, man. It's sad. You know. Oh, it's going to cost the families an extra $10,000. They're destroying America. Oh, you're not going to be able to live your life. Oh, you lost your rights. Oh, same thing they say on CNN. Oh, he's destroying them. And then when things go, good, everybody quiet. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about things coming down. They don't want to talk about inflation that's hit an all-time low since the last 4 years. They don't want to talk about it. Gas prices come down. They don't want to talk about it. Quiet. Egg prices come down. They don't want to talk about it. It's just he's the big bad orange man. He's Hitler, threat to democracy. Our sweet apple pie democracy. Oh, you just can't make this crap up, man. Oh, and I need to get some new headphones, family. I need to change these out right now, man. These things are busted. I've been putting in that much hard work. These headphones are busted, daddy. Yay! I mean, they ripping all at the top. Let me get a sip of this moonshine before we get into this video. Man, I gotta get a sip of this shine, y'all. It took me 23 hours to make this shine. Y'all want a sip? Y'all about to be grateful now. Here you go. Get your sip. And then it's in that 40. Shout out to my brother Cameron, man. Love you, brother. We on that 40 today now. It's that 40 special. Dana Bash, though. All right, Brother Howard, let's do it. Let's go and set this woman straight. Put her in her place. She repeats the same thing over and over and over. The same question. We got to come on here. It's very tiresome, man. CNN is a disgrace. They ought to shut it down. They ought to lose their license. They ought to shut the whole thing down. Y'all got pay cuts going on. People getting fired. Unbelievable. Ratings are all-time low. One of the worst ratings besides MSNBC and ABC.
With what President Trump said on social media, that there was much agreed to in negotiations on Saturday. What were some of the things that they agreed on in these talks in Switzerland?
the team is in Switzerland meeting with their counterparts from China, and they are hard at it. There's a lot to accomplish. There's both a lot to take care of and get off the table, and they're working hard at it. At the end of the day, they felt good. The president felt good, and I'm going to leave it to them. But it felt good yesterday. The president tweeted that out and truthed that out. But things feel really good.
As the Secretary of Commerce, I do want to ask about the fact that there are no ships carrying goods from China bound for the West Coast right now. President Trump said earlier this week that drops in imports is actually a good thing because it's going to affect people's wallets and jobs. Well, he said it's a good thing because it shows that the imports that the tariffs are working. But in reality, it's going to affect people's wallets and jobs. Truck drivers, port workers, American consumers. So my question for you is, how is that a good thing?
Well, I think the point that the president makes with his tariffs is that America has a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means other people are selling us goods that more than we are selling them. And that's just not balanced. It's not fair. We're losing $1.2 trillion a year, of which directly and indirectly to China, that's about $1 trillion. You know, China sells goods to Vietnam. Vietnam repackages them and sells them to us. So the idea is the president wants balanced and fair trade, and tariffs are the tool to create balanced and fair trade. It's just unsustainable for $1.2 trillion to be exported to the rest of the world, meaning our money is going to the rest of the world. It's building them up. And over time, it's taken us down. And the president's here to fix it. So that's what he's trying to do with his tariffs.
And I understand what you're talking about with regard to sort of economic policy. But there's economic policy, and then there's how people in the United States actually feel and the immediate effect on them. So just to be clear, are you saying that ultimately fixing what the president sees as a problem, which you just described, is going to mean that the American people, whether they work at a port or whether they're truck drivers or whether they're consumers, they're just going to have to suffer in the short term, maybe even longer?
No. Let's take a look at the UK deal we did we announced on Thursday, right? We opened the opportunity for Americans to export to the United Kingdom $5 billion more than they've ever had the right before. You had beef, ethanol, row crops, vegetables, fruits, cereals, sodas, machinery. I mean, just the list goes on and on. So the idea for the president is, look, we published our rates on Liberation Day. Negotiate with us, bring those rates down by opening your markets to Americans who can export. So what's going to happen is we're going to have imports. Of course, our ports, we are the consumer of the world. I mean, we consume $20 trillion worth of stuff.
But
the world
that is
wants to
stopping
sell
now.
us stuff.
But it's not happening right now because
It's
of the
only
president's tariff
stopping.
policies.
No. It's only stopping. Look, we are in a negotiation with China. We agree. It has stopped 145% on China. Of course that stops it.
And y'all, this was a couple of days ago too. This was literally we're closing in almost a week from this. This was 6 days ago.
That they're negotiating that right now. That we are optimistic that will open. But what the president's tariff policy is let's open all the markets in the world that have been closed to us. Let's get that opportunity for Americans to export to them. Let's really, really help Americans export. And of course, those people who import are going to have great businesses.
But as you well know, because you worked on the UK deal, which I'll get to in 1 second, that's a very different kettle of fish than China and even some of the other countries that I know that you are trying to deal with directly. So when it comes to, again, I'm talking about American jobs and American consumers in the short term. We're heading into the summer, and it could mean, tell me if this is wrong, that a lot of the goods that Americans are used to either buying or, getting easily.
And that's all CNN cares about. They just want everything right now. The short term, they just want the right now. Right now, Everything is just being destroyed. This is CNN's how they do it. This is how they do it. You know, this is why Dana Bash is up here like this. You can read her body language and tone and everything. You know, Trump, Republicans right now are destroying America. Everything's terrible. And most of CNN, they want, you know, these headlines. They want everything to go bad. They hate our country, like Trump said. CNN hates our country. That Trump is the 47th president. That Trump is back in the White House. They just hate our country.
Will either be more expensive or hard to get. We're talking about beach chairs, swimsuits, picnic supplies, fireworks.
Look,
is this something that Americans just need to understand is going to be harder to buy?
Well, I think, look, the Chinese and our representatives are meeting now. So, you know, let's just leave what's possible with China to what happens on Monday, Tuesday, and next week. But the rest of the world is open for business, right? Remember, we have a low tariff on the rest of the world while we negotiate. But our expectation is that these countries are going to open their markets, their tariffs are going to come down, the ability for us to export and grow our economy is going to be better than ever before. That's why President Trump talks about a golden age. Of course, all these countries are going to come and sell their products to us. Of course, we're going to have our shelves full of wonderful products made around the world, but we're going to make sure on their shelves that American products are finally given the fair treatment that they deserve. And I think what people forget is that we have been locked out of economy after economy after economy, and President Trump is going to break down those barriers and let us sell. Imagine this. If we can let other countries accept our standards, then our small businesses can sell online to foreign purchasers. I mean, imagine we're not allowed to.
sounds like, you know, sounds like a huge win for us. Sounds like common sense. And look at her body language. Look at her. Look, she's not seeming to understand. I don't think she cares. I'm just being honest with y'all. I'm reading. I read body language. They don't care. This woman doesn't care. CNN does not care. They just want everything to burn and crash so they can blame President Trump and Elon Musk.
Do that now. It's just not fair trade, and President Trump is on trying to make it fair trade.
You mentioned the UK agreement. You were the lead negotiator there, aside from the president, of course. And it does, you mentioned some of the aspects of it, but one other aspect is that it keeps in place a 10% across the board tariff on goods imported to the U.S. from the UK. As you know, the cost of tariffs are paid by American consumers. We've been talking about this. So should Americans be
I disagree
prepared?
with that, you know.
Well, okay, but most economists, I would say, disagree with you on that, and we have seen it being passed off time and time again to the American consumer. But regardless of that, just on the policy, this is what I want to ask you about. Is the 10% tariff that we're seeing in the framework for the UK going to be in place for the foreseeable future?
So we do expect a 10% baseline tariff to be in place for the foreseeable future, but don't buy the silly arguments that the U.S. consumer pays. Businesses, their job is to try to sell to the American consumer, and domestically produced products are not going to have that tariff. So the foreigners
who's going to eat the tariffs?
Finally have to compete. They're going to have to compete. What happens is the businesses and the countries primarily eat the tariff. Look, we have 25% tariffs that were set under President Trump's first term. I don't hear a single word, not a single word about those tariffs. No consumers in America, those were set in 2017 and 2018. No consumers in America sit here complaining about those tariffs.
Well, prices
what happens is
have gone up for lots of reasons.
Oh, no. Don't talk about the Biden inflation. That's another whole gig. When we left, when President Trump in 2019 had the lowest inflation in history. So
Let me ask.
You know that this works really, really well. It works well. These countries and the businesses have to compete.
Yep.
They have to cut prices. You've seen it.
Same.
The Asians have said they're not raising their prices. So who's paying those tariffs? The governments and the companies. They want to compete in the greatest store in the world.
But you
They
well
gotta
know
be
that
competitive.
company after company, business after
see.
business have said that they're going to pass it off to the consumer. I want to ask, because you are working on other deals, of course, many of them.
Why do we go on CNN? Why do we go on CNN? Y'all, please let me know. Why do we waste time on CNN?
Outside of what has
course,
happened
so
and
many.
is happening with the UK, is that 10% tariff kind of a baseline in the way you're approaching these other countries that you're negotiating with?
Yes, we will not go below 10%. That is just not a place we're going to go. We will, country by country, address their particular issues. So, for instance, with steel and aluminum and aircraft parts, we said those could come into the country tariff-free. Right, so Rolls-Royce engines could go on a Boeing jet that Boeing sells. And of course, you saw that Boeing announced a $10 billion deal to sell those Boeing aircraft with Rolls-Royce engines to British Airways. So that's an example how we're going to be flexible and we're going to be super smart country by country. But at least you saw the rates that were published on Liberation Day. Those countries can take those rates down if they open their markets to Americans to export. Let Americans get their stuff on these foreign governments and foreign consumers' shelves, and we'll be better as a country. I think what's happened is we just have never felt the fairness of our ability to export. Finally, the President of the United States is on our side, and that's what you're going to see in the UK, and then country after country. We're going to announce, like we did with the UK, how many tens of billions of dollars of new opportunity the President is negotiating for American small businesses and medium-sized businesses to sell their products overseas. That's the golden age that's coming, and everybody else is going to build in America to get around that tariff. Remember, there's no tariff if you build it in America.
You might want to repeat it again. She doesn't. She didn't either went out one ear out the other. Yeah, and she doesn't care. Why do we still go on CNN? Hey.
The entire world is hoping that what you are saying does come true and waiting for the
You see? The entire world is hoping what you do come true.
next step. I also want to wish your wife.
And that's why he's laughing. He's like, oh, this woman doesn't care. CNN doesn't care. She up here lying. Yeah, they just want everything to burn and crash so we can blame Trump. Unbelievable, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think of this. I love y'all, and I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace and love, you guys.